we have our resources. How does our resources now link to simulation? Well, in DELMIA, we directly consume them into the process. So we're going to take a look at a few scenarios now. So as you've seen from our previous webinar, or not, but I'd highly recommend you go back. From the factory, we had a single module come out, or one prefab unit. So, it's good. We have a much faster process. You have one truck appearing on site. You have one crane lift operation. Everything is done singularly. The issue is it's a larger unit. The access is not as good. We have width restrictions potentially on the logistics getting it to site. That's increasing costs. So scenario 2 is we split that prefab unit down into smaller modules. With some simplified access, simplified logistics, but your time on site is increased and your number of resources also increased. So let's look at them a bit more in detail. So module 1, the big single unit, you can see right at the bottom there, I think there's some 50-foot, 40-foot trailers. It doesn't fit on them very well at all. We've potentially got issues on site. We have issues getting it close to the build site. You can see that we've had to sort of park it to the side, the cranes within the fence, and actually that area that's not in the point cloud scan might not necessarily belong to us, so we can't lift over there. It is, however, quicker. So, that big one is faster to get it signed off, which means we get the payment quicker. But the logistics is a big issue here and so easily seen. And then scenario 2 is that modular one. So this will have to go back. The next webinar we'll look at this a bit more, but this will have to go back to the factory. But on site, splitting the modules into 3 units has a lot of benefits. We now don't have those width restrictions on those vehicles. We can get them into a bit of a tighter area. We are going to get them to site easier because we're not going to have escort vehicles. In our simulation, we didn't use it, but because it's a smaller module, it's a smaller weight, and it's a smaller size, so we could potentially use a smaller lifting system, be that a smaller crane or a telehandler. But within DELMIA, we can quickly swap them out and see those simulations and see those gains. One of the big downsides, though, is we have an increased time on site. So we have a critical path now where because we're limited on our site space, we can only get one truck in at a time. We can only get one crane there, so we're having to wait, and that increases your time on site, which increases your cost because you've got to pay people for longer, and it extends time in which you're going to get paid. However, the cost savings from those difficult logistics options from scenario 1 with escort vehicles, you may find the scenario 2 may be better, and that's what the power of DELMIA here is. We can quickly adapt and we can quickly change them to see which scenario is going to be better. Just draw your eye to the bottom of that screen as well. You might recognize that that's actually the M-bomb that James was talking about earlier. So we're still talking about that one single point of truth. The modules were created in the same M-bomb. So we've not had to go and create everything again for this scenario. It's all still within the same tree structure within our software. It's using the same resources that we assigned earlier that I was talking about. It's just the process is different.